What up, y'all? It's T-Tar, and today we're looking at more of y'all's theories for Pokemon in 2024. Let's go. Legends Johto theory. Hey, T-Tar, I was just watching your video about Legends Johto being a sequel to Legends Arceus, and I was thinking about something. The Burn Tower and the Tin Tower are never said who it was made by, only what they represent. What if the Celestica people made these towers? It is said the towers were made 700 years ago. Yeah, this is what I was trying to open up with that video, right? The whole Johto lore goes before Lugia and Ho-Oh. Lugia and Ho-Oh are like the modern lore. It's weird to think about. But yeah, so in terms of who made the towers, it could be the Celestica people. But remember, the Celestica people are the names of the people who left the Shinjo ruins to go to what was ancient Sinnoh. So the people who made this tower would be like the other half of what were the Celestica people. It'd be the Johto side. The people who made the towers would have created what leads to modern Johto with worshipping Lugia and Ho-Oh. And the actual story that came before that would be all in the ruins of Elf, which by now are destroyed. So think about it, right? In a Legends Johto game, you're in the era where Lugia and Ho-Oh are chilling on the towers. They're not myths, they're right there. And so what the world is actually talking about are the myths of what came before. The people that used to be in Johto, the ruins of Alph, which would be a lot more built by now, hopefully. The same way Spear Pillars all broken in modern day, but just 150 years ago, you could see the whole temple. The ruins of Alph probably look like a whole temple. You know how eerie and amazing this idea is to make Arceus fully involved with Johto. So this is the story of Legends Johto. You'd like start out in Ekritique City the same way in Legends Arceus with Jubilife Village. It would just be some Ekritique Village crap, because that's where the two towers are anyway, right? And you know, you'd go on little missions going around. Maybe there's the equivalent of the Diamond and Pearl clan, but they would say never go to this one spot in the region, which is where the ruins of Alph are. You know, they could even imprint that there's like a curse there and no one has gone there for hundreds of years. And so imagine if your friend in the Legends game is this curious person and you guys decide to stray away and visit the ruins. You start to see like depictions of Arceus on the walls, even though it's Johto. This is what I was trying to get at in that video. Arceus is essentially a Gen 2 Pokemon before it was a Gen 4 Pokemon. Because it was the Celestica people that left the Shinjo ruins who bring the Arceus lore over to Sinnoh. But before that, the ruins of Elf were already in Johto. So it's like Arceus was in Johto before. But yeah, you'd see depictions of freaking Arceus on the walls, all carved in. You might even see depictions of Dialga and Palkia and Giratina. The other thing I like about painting Johto like this is the Johto games are pretty empty. Even though they're really fun to play through for some reason, it's like there's something missing from this. Revealing this bombshell would make them so cool. And the setup is there, my dudes. Very soon, my dudes, I'll record a video on how they can make Celebi a very important Pokemon to title these games off it. Pokemon Legends Celebi. Even greater than Pokemon Legends Arceus, but that'll come later. Let's keep going. Your Sinjo theory is partially confirmed in the old verses. Hi T-Tar, here is the old verse number 12 from Legends Arceus. Wintry, austere, brimming with strange power, certainly the land of Hisui bears some resemblance to Sinjo. Y'all thought I was joking. These are ancient Celestica people. So the region I'm saying back then is called Hisui, but they live in a village, Celestica village. That's the center of Hisui back then. So these verses are written from the perspective of someone who's observing this ancient Hisui / Sinnoh. And they see these people and the ruins they make, which are all destroyed even by the time of Legends Arceus. They're called like the Celestica ruins, Celestica path and crap. They're observing the way they make their structures. They're even observing the Temple of Sinnoh. And they're thinking, this crap looks like the Sinjo ruins. Now, we don't know if the person who wrote these verses, where they're from. There's of course some theories on who actually wrote them. But it sounds like the person who wrote the verses is either one of the Celestica people who are just born there, or there's someone who came from another region and are observing the Celestica people. I'll touch more on that later, but this is the verse that tells it. That certainly the land of Hisui bears some resemblance to Sinjo. So I was talking about that video. We thought that whole Sinjo ruins event might have been just something bonus, nothing that actually exists in the Pokemon world. But when Legends Arceus starts to specifically mention Sinjo and say, not Sinjo looks like Hisui, but Hisui looks like Sinjo, that's when it gets crazy. And here's another thought, right? Hisui looks like Sinjoh. If Sinjoh's a combination of Sinnoh and Johto, then it's like even before the ancient region was called Hisui and the Celestica people went there, that the Celestica people first carried the name of being the Sinnoh people. And so we had the Sinnoh people and the Johto people, and that's why it's called the Sinjoh ruins. So it's like it went from being the Sinnoh people to the region being called Hisui, worshipping Almighty Sinnoh, to the region just straight up being called Sinnoh. But check it out, right? Here where the ancient Sinnoh people were born, I will spend an eternity. So it's hard to tell. Did the person who write these verses originate from Celestica village, that's what I'm gonna call it? Or were they observing and they're actually from somewhere else? Until the one with the mission appears. This line pisses me off. I hate every main character in Pokemon. Except like, you know, May, Red, Dawn, Blue. The characters that actually have a name to put to their face, I like. Actually, I don't hate too much the Legends Arceus character because they're an actual character too. But y'all, I find it BS that Arceus just pulled some random dude or girl from the future and they have such a pivotal role. Why did that ever have to happen? Why couldn't this person who exists in Legends Arceus just have been born in that era? You tell me the one with the mission who appears as some dude who appeared out of some space-time distortion? But yeah, my dudes, this is the third hint to the Sinjoh ruins, and that being the true origin to the Sinnoh people. So we have Cynthia fulfilling Volo's purpose, we have the whole Sinjoh ruins floor in the Hall of Origin, and then we have Sinjoh literally mentioned in Legends Arceus. Anyhow, touching back on Arceus being a Gen 2 Pokemon, which I love this idea so much, it's not far-fetched. You know, we've learned, especially as of Legends Arceus, that our way of naming the generations isn't entirely right. Basculin, a Pokemon that we've put in the Unova Dex, is originally from Hisui, right? So it should be a Gen 4 Pokemon. Same with Braviary and Epilogue. They're kind of named in the wrong regions. Then you got Pokemon like Magmortar and Electivire who were discovered in Sinnoh, which is near Kanto anyway, but technically these evolutions would exist in Kanto. They just generally weren't discovered. You would imagine, for example, for this example with Electivire and Magmortar, is Professor Oak, he discovers and establishes the first 151 Pokemon, but there's still some that are in Kanto that no one ever seen, like Magmortar and Electivire. Then as we continue to establish the Dex in other regions, they're eventually discovered more frequently in Sinnoh, and so they're tagged with that. This is how I think the National Dex works. Professor Oak started it. He's like, you know what? We're gonna start to make an encyclopedia of all the Pokemon in the world, all star. And so he starts with the Kanto Dex, and then Professor Elm joins. And so he adds to the National Dex. Then Professor Birch joins, Rowan joins, but they're all adding in order to what Oak started, his movement. So just because Arceus was introduced in Gen 4 and also like around 2004 or 5, and they didn't plan Arceus back in the Gen 2 days, doesn't mean they can't pull a reverse and actually make Arceus way more important to an earlier region that, in fact, it probably belongs to that region. Think back to the title, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and how as much as we learn about Arceus, we barely scratch the surface of what that dude really is, aside from cementing it on top of the whole pecking order by giving it that Legends play and revealing to everyone that it is just an avatar that fights you and joins your party. There's a whole story to tell with Arceus, and to imagine Johto was the first ones to uncover the truth about Arceus and such, and that's what we would uncover in a Legends Johto game. Is too perfect. Anyhow, make sure y'all shank that like button. 7 weeks remains, but that's about to go down. I'm watching the ticker. It's almost at 6 weeks. I hope y'all are enjoying the hype season I'm bringing y'all, and I will eventually talk about all the stuff I hinted in this video. But yeah, I'll see y'all either later today or tomorrow. Take care. Also, yeah, if you missed it, this is the full explanation on Arceus being a Gen 2 Pokemon. You can click it. It's from a few days ago.